What's up, podcast fam? I am super psyched for this episode with my good friend Brian McDonell from Melin. This is a great entrepreneurial journey story, starting in college, pivoting to something else, going to creating Melin, finding they were the creators of the luxury headwear category. And when you can create a category, that's a big deal. So I'm super psyched to introduce Brian to you and listen to his story. What's up, everybody? So I am here with Brian McDonell, Melin, the Melin brand. Okay, Brian, give me origin story, a little bit about you and Melin.
Origin story. First off, thanks for having me, dude. I've been following you for a minute, and I just, it's funny, I discovered you, be it that you were our customer, and I saw your name come through plenty of times, and then started realizing what you did, who you were, what you were about, and I'm just pumped to be able to sit with you one-on-one now and have you as a friend. But
Likewise.
So to take it back through, the origin story for Melin was, I grew up in a really good family, great parents, very entrepreneurial dad. And I'll give you guys kind of the short, long version of this. So Pops owned a medical staffing company, multimillionaire at a really young age. And my childhood up to about 12 years old was travel, was plenty of time with dad, coaching every team, no financial stress in our household, and snowboarding trips to Mammoth, beach trips to Cabo. And at 12 years old, my dad's company caught a huge lawsuit, didn't have the adequate insurance in place, and had to fold everything. So we went from mansions and vacationing all the time to near homeless. And I remember the day going to my dad saying, "Hey, I need some money. I'm going to the movies." And he looked at me and he just kind of goes, "We're not going to have money anymore. You're going to need to find money yourself." And that moment didn't make sense to me because I didn't realize or ever connect that he hustled super hard to give us that lifestyle, and that money was simply just a tool to go get what you wanted done. It for me and for my family, it was never a symbol of status whatsoever. It was simply a tool to create better experiences for the fam and lower the stress levels, right? And I didn't realize that until it was taken away and the stress level shot through the roof. I started seeing the realities of what most people deal with on a financial reality. And it built into me this hustle to be like, well, F that. I don't know if we can cuss on this.
Do whatever you want.
All right. So I was from that moment determined to be the guy that figured it back out to get that money back up as a tool to get us back to the fun.
At 12.
Family. Yeah. Young. So started hustling, mowing lawns, etc. Then started working at an ice cream shop, to a smoothie shop, to just stayed hustling, trying to get money because I didn't want to be the dude that couldn't get the shoes I wanted or couldn't put the lift kit on my truck when I turned 16 or whatever. Started an off-road club in high school that was called Unauthorized. Shout out to the UNA boys. We had about 100 trucks running around the city where I grew up, Simi Valley, and decided to turn that club into... started to do merch. So we started to build print shirts, unauthorized, off-road. And it started going pretty well. We made some money. My boy Corey Reed kind of co-founded it with me. Shout out to Corey Reed. And we went on to kind of make, I don't know, probably 30, 40 grand throughout high school, selling shirts and hoodies. And I started realizing my affinity for creating a uniform for a hobby or a community that I was passionate about. And it clicked for me pretty young that the apparel space was a hell of a lot of fun. I also grew up snowboarding. So Volcom was oh my God, if I could be like the guy that started Volcom, or Olakai, or Nixon watches, Spy sunglasses, just all these brands I kind of had an affinity for growing up. And so I was a competitive soccer player, went to Chico State, I was sober my whole young, childhood. Went to Chico, decided to try this red cup full of beer. Got completely out of control for about a year and a half at Chico, just partying, and didn't take school serious, didn't take athletics serious, and got in trouble for allegedly running a fake ID ring in college and had to move home.
All-out hustler.
Dude. So moved home to help kind of cover my legal expenses, was working at a mortgage company pre-2008. They were giving loans to everyone, so I made a lot of money fast as a youngster, and decided, okay, I think I've paid off my dues. I want to go back to college now, but rather than getting this kind of more general college education, and I realized I wasn't super passionate about general education, I wanted to go learn clothing. So I decided to go to the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising. Attended FITM in LA, and fortunately for me, there was a guy there that was one of the teachers at the time named Joe Knershold, who was the co-founder of Hurley with Bob Hurley. Wow. And so imagine, I'm in this 99% all women, female school, and learning about dresses for the most part, fashion. And then you pop into this class and he goes, yep, so I co-founded Hurley. And I was like, whoop. Yeah. So just zoned in, kind of mentored me a bit throughout my college career there. Was working at that time for Zoomies, the retail chain, to kind of pay my bills while going to school. And it was a great experience learning and watching the consumer on the floor do their shopping while learning how to make the clothes at school. Just a great kind of well-rounded thing. Graduated, was lucky enough to land a job at an action sports brand called Split. I don't know if you remember Split, but my mentor and boss there was a guy named Jim Watson, who now runs all the sales for Vans. Okay, he was a beast. He was part of Reef, Reef. And it was really hard on me and taught me a lot in my kind of entry-level position at Split. I started noticing I was starting to make okay money in the industry, and I was training a little bit of jiu-jitsu and MMA, and I met at a small clinic the guys that started Tap Out while they were on their little van tour.
That's right.
And just was like, how is this not in stores yet? And they're like, well, that's our plan, dude. And I was like, I know how to do that. And so Punk Ass and I kind of hit it off. Wow. I was able to be real early on there and help sell Tap Out into a lot of the Western U.S., and learn a ton from those guys. Charles Lewis, who was the co-founder with Punk Ass and Skyscript, Tim Katz. Charles is just this gnarly visionary dude. Like, it was my first taste of having a really visionary mentor, and he was a believer that you could do anything you set your mind to.
That's awesome.
He just ingrained that in us at the company, and so I started seeing a hole in the market for a premium hat. I was starting to buy nicer shoes, starting to buy nicer denim, starting to buy nicer sunglasses, watches, like every accessory you could step your game up. And I was a huge ball cap guy, but there was like this ceiling, and I had like every new era color of every hat you could think of. And just said, I bet. I was kind of studying Jay-Z, Justin Timberlake at the time, Ashton Kutcher. And the Von Dutch had kind of flared up, and I'd seen what $80 hats could sell if it had the right kind of validation. So, and they were kind of,
they weren't anything
not
special.
very high quality. Right. And I decided, what if you really did make a really, really nice cap that actually felt better, wore better, lasted longer, was made with really good stuff, and you really like re-engineered some of the basic issues in a hat? I bet that same person that invests into every other category would likely pay a little bit extra for what's on their face.
Absolutely.
And decided I was going to do it. Started writing the business plan. Tap Out sold right around that time. And I had originally met my partner, Corey Roth, co-founder of Melin, while at Chico State during my kind of party days. But we'd always end up chatting big vision. And he was just always one of the best humans I'd ever met. I realized at a early on in our relationship, he was just heart of gold, most integrity of anyone I'd ever met, smart, and just a really strong voice of authority. And so Corey and I kind of offset each other well. He really analyzes and internalizes, and I really just throttle and go and like beg for forgiveness. And so anyways, I had shared with him the Tap Out was exploding. We stayed in touch after college. He had a stint at Ashworth and Callaway selling on the East Coast, like gear. A lot more polished. Yeah. I'm over here with guys that are punching people in the head, and he's at country clubs selling golf clubs. And so he wanted to relocate back to Southern California. Tap Out was exploding. I needed help and someone that had experience selling. So Corey came over, helped me at Tap Out, and we had a great run there. Shared with him this idea of this premium hat brand called Melin, and he kind of turned around to me. We were on this one business trip for Tap Out together, and I shared with him my like 1-page business plan at the time. And he turned around and goes, "Why aren't we doing this like full time? If we don't do this, someone's going to do this." And I was like, "Bro, let's team up. Let's go." And I will tell you why we hadn't started it, or I hadn't started it yet. And this is probably a good takeaway for your entrepreneurs that might listen to this, was I was doing well enough to not have it hurt bad enough to go.
Right.
So like it was just a thought and an idea, and I was like inching it forward. Likely would have never happened had Corey not forced me that day. And so I would say you hear this buzzword entrepreneur all the time, and I believe it's been abused and bastardized by everybody, and that because you think of a business idea does not make you an entrepreneur. What makes you an entrepreneur is the psycho commitment to jump and win.
That's right.
Like that's the entrepreneur.
It's like you jump out the window and build the plane on the way down.
Yes. So anyways, that was kind of where this thing stemmed from. We raised money from friends and family. My parents had nothing after everything crashed out. Corey didn't come from a ton of dough either. And so we had a bunch of our best buddies contribute $5,000 and $10,000 clips, raised about $100,000, including Tom Antonopoulos. Uncle Tom was our first big investor. And then Zach Dials, former NFL lineman. Zach gave us a big chunk of change and believed, and it was almost, it's funny, I think positivity breeds success.
100%.
So as people start to, you're telling yourself, I got this, I'm going to do this, but you're kind of lying to yourself, forcing yourself to believe it. And then once other people say, I believe too, you get a little stronger. Your power boost goes up, So the more belief and confidence that the support system of who you surround yourself with gives back into you kind of allows you to further fuel that. And so kind of what you touched on, we think alike in that I think we both make a very concerted effort to constantly be intaking motivational information and inspiration, because it's a form of fueling our own progress.
And the mindset's so powerful. Like a simple mindset shift can change so much. So you've touched on this a couple times, mentorship. So mentorship has been powerful for you. I mean, how do you feel like is it important for other business owners to have mentors regardless of ego?
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, you can learn by walking up and touching the hot, pot on the stove yourself and getting burned, or you can learn by having a mentor say, "Hey, that's hot over there. I wouldn't recommend touching that." And I think it's Tom Bleu, or I don't know, somebody I've seen or heard speak says that the only way you can really learn is by making the mistake yourself or hearing the mistake from someone else and what to avoid. So I look at mentors as give me as many and as often as I can have, because if you know something I don't know, let me get that in my lessons without having to experience it the hard way all day. Absolutely. Mentorship, big deal.
I've heard you on other podcasts say that you make it a point to try and like be in a room where you're not the smartest person in the room.
Always.
Explain that.
Like right now.
Oh, come on.
I just feel like, and there's a balance to this. I think as a leader, your team needs to know that you are well-educated and well-intentioned. And so there needs to be a level of confidence that you can, exude and ultimately, protect your tribe with and guide your tribe with. But at the same time, anybody that thinks that they know better likely needs to be more open-minded. And I think I don't know. The entrepreneur's dream, at least for me, was never to be the guy that worked 90 hours a week. That's part of it, absolutely, in the beginning. But what I feel like the actual goal is to surround yourself with people that inspire you. And that's the beauty of owning your own show, is you get to pick who's in on the team. And so if you can pick people smarter that have strengths where you have weaknesses, that can pick up where you maybe aren't the best, like that to me seems like just common sense.
It's amazing how hard it is though, to be able to delegate some of that responsibility when it's your baby, it's your brainchild. It's live and breathe it. So
I struggle with it every day.
It's honestly, I told you this earlier, it's been the hardest thing for me as an entrepreneur and as a business owner to be able to give responsibility. But it's the only way you're going to grow is building a team that can do things that you can't and do them better than you.
I think I also, on that note, like, I think I found myself enjoying the role of coach and enjoying the role of teacher, so much so that I had subconsciously initially brought a few people onto the team that didn't already add value beyond what I knew, but more were students, and it made me feel good to be able to teach and pass on,
confidence.
you know?
Yeah.
And so to be confident enough as a leader to hire someone smarter than you, empower them, and to your organization, empower them to be the voice of authority. That was the hardest thing for me, was to say, am I safe leading this if I bring people smarter than me in here, or are they gonna, like, you know, what's it called, where your troops go the other direction, whatever?
Right, yeah.
Like
they're gonna, I don't know.
Yeah. And so it was a huge learning lesson. I'd say this partnership with Olakai. We partnered with Olakai, one of my mentor, Dan McInerney's company. He introduced me to the chairman at Olakai, Jim Harris, and I was looking for growth capital, infrastructure help, just learning again. And we had significant growth in Melin, and I knew that it was going to benefit all of us, including the investment, kind of the panel of investors that had given us their money to help us scale, to find someone smarter, more equipped, and basically this was all pre-election. Like, I was looking at just the whole world saying, we're a premium category creator. Nobody did this shit before us. So if you're going to cut back your spending on anything in a rocky economy, it's probably your already category you're not buying.
Right.
Like, it was just this thing where I was like, I need to partner with someone that gets this category creating premium thing. And Dan Mack and Jim Harris welcomed us. So anyways, in saying that, this partnership here has really enabled, and they've kind of empowered me to say, Brian, you're the guy, but you're safe here. Build this thing, dude.
That's
like,
cool.
We got you. Put the smartest people you can around you. Let's go. And them kind of giving permission has really helped me realize, like, well, shoot, let's go then.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So you mentioned the premium category, and you are, like, I was talking with Josh yesterday. Like, I just can't believe this already didn't exist. Like, I can't believe that somebody didn't
Corey
create.
and I, for 4 years while we developed the hats, would walk all the trade shows, just biting our lips, wincing around every corner, going, somebody's going to have done it and brought it to the market, and we're going to be a couple $100,000 of friends and family money into this, all of our money, and just be like,
we really got to go.
And so I initially had emailed New Era for a good 6 months in an attempt to contact their kind of management level people to say, I want to create a sub brand under New Era, because I was such a New Era fan, that will be this premium tier, and it's going to be called Melin. I want to pitch your team on it, et cetera. And they just never got back to me. So I realized, like, well, we're going to have to figure it out without them. And it's interesting. I just read a press release yesterday that New Era released their own premium headwear capsule, and I was just going,
so you've created a market.
Totally, absolutely. And I'm watching all the other prices creep up on ball caps. You used to get a hat for $20, then 25, then 30, then 35, now 39, and I'm pretty sure the market's enjoying the reconditioning of the price point.
That's right.
You know?
But you're leading a completely new category, which is amazing. So how have you been able, a lot of the businesses that we work with that are going to be listening to this are dealing directly with the consumer, and a lot of the research is showing that consumers are more price conscious now than ever.
They are.
How have you been able to, one, create a category that didn't exist and grow that category? And, the last few years have been, when you started, it was a down economy. It wasn't the economy it is now, and we're still told that it's a price-driven economy. So how have you been able to build a luxury, top tier? Like, people aren't buying your product that don't have ancillary income, or are they?
It's interesting, man. So what I'm about to kind of say to you guys, just what we know. I don't think it's by any means like proven statistically, but what we've learned is that the target's moving right now faster than ever. The way customers are buying, the way people are influenced, and I'm just going to shoot it straight. I find that the younger customers are buying luxury or premium goods based on hype more than anything. It's by peer validation. It's because you can share your purchase and get high fives digitally from your homies.
It's a perception
very quickly. And so the way we've been able to grow it has been not particularly around hype, although we do obviously welcome, attention on the brand and products, especially from a lot of the high profile people that wear them. But it was just a psycho focus on building a better hat. Like the product is actually really well thought out and designed to be better performing, longer lasting. We use much better materials, different methods of even sewing them together. Every single element in our caps is actually looked to be elevated, and we hold ourselves to that standard. So the idea is for us, it's in large part customer acquisition challenge, because once we can get them once, we do love to spoil the Melin family, our customers. It's our peeps. Like literally, we know they keep the lights on.
I'm a walking testimony of that.
Yeah, straight up. So for us, it's not so much what are we doing to keep them engaged, although that's a big focus moving forward. How can we better serve each aspect of our customer's life in the capacity of a hat, whether they're going camping, hiking, snowboarding, wakeboarding, jogging, just want to look great, feel good out for a night with the wife, whatever. But we're really challenged by customer acquisition in that this new digital age is largely digital ad and conversion-based metrics. So if you think about it, the way you interact with a customer when it's brick and mortar, the old way you might say, is they discover your product in a retail environment that pre-validates something about your brand. If they find you at Nordstrom, it must be a pretty well-made, crafted, somewhat successful and large brand. If you're discovering it in Nordstrom, they've quote unquote kind of made it. And so there was this pre-validated experience where if you're just floating in a digital world sea of ads, there's nothing validating you other than what you're going to say and what you're going to put in that content.
That's right.
And so how do you want to speak to that initial engagement? It's not like with our product, it's expensive. It's premium. It's not a low barrier to entry, so to speak. So if you're going to give me a better option for a cell phone case real quick, and I happen to need a new one, and it was a cool little content bit, and I wanted to try it, sure, it's $20.
Yeah.
I might give it a shot.
Easy.
If it's $100 hat, and I've never seen anything even half that expensive in a ball cap, and you're expecting me to jump into your website and engage with you on that initial handshake, you're out your mind.
Yeah.
Like there's only a very slim percentage of humans that can afford to let $100 go on something they know nothing about, truly. So we've kind of taken the approach in how we are engaging with the new customer acquisition, and we're looking to get to know our customers a little bit and then find out how we can offer added value to them in the capacity of a hat. So we have this "we believe" statement that goes, we believe that with more thought, time, and care invested into how we build our products, that we can actually extend the life of our hats and the adventures we take them on. And so in thinking about that, thought, time, and care in how we go about the business is a huge thing to focus on, and how we build the hats and how we engage people and how we treat people. And then looking at extending the life of the products, meaning make it really well made, and the adventures we take them on. If you're out golfing all day and it's a hot day and your hat doesn't breathe well, doesn't wick moisture, doesn't perform at the level that we hold ourselves to, you might have to call it on the 14th,
Right.
However, this is Louis Vito over here. Let me say what up real quick. Cruise in really quick. I'm going to come kick it with you guys in 1 minute.
What's going on, man?
What up, Louis?
Nice to meet you.
Louis, good to meet you, my
Ohio
G.
against the world.
Yeah.
So we're from Ohio, Zanesville.
Okay,
Zanesville.
I'm from outside Columbus.
Yeah, nice.
But
That's so sick. We're gonna knock this out and then come rap with you guys on like 15. Like yeah.
Nice to meet you, man.
Yo, what do you think of the beanie? I gotta know.
Dude, I like it.
That's awesome.
I haven't tested it enough to where I'm sweating in it yet, but that's what I'm getting to.
Good.
I leave on Saturday for Switzerland, and then that's where I'll get my sweat on.
All right.
See if they blow out or not.
All right. Good deal.
That's the test.
I'll be down in like 15.
Yeah, dude.
All right,
so
guys.
cool.
Yeah. So where were we? I forget where we were.
We're talking about take time.
Oh yeah. So in that we believe statement. So, and how we extend those adventures was really kind of like a big fill in the blank on what that adventure you're trying to serve or extend really is. And so for my partner Corey, he loves to travel cities. He loves to go explore restaurants, ballparks. It's more like your metropolitan exploration. Cool. And I'm more like the outdoor guy. Like I want to get lost with limited shit and try to survive. And so there's a very different approach to just what an exploration might look like or an adventure might look like. So it's been fun to identify something we want to build a better hat for and then go after. And then with Cameron, our head of marketing, and through the ambassadors we engage with, really hold ourselves to truly delivering a better hat for that. Louis Vito, X Games medalist, snowboarder, total beanie guy. When I met him, just thought like us, loves surrounding himself with high quality people, high performers, fit beast, was in ESPN, The Body Issue, just a monster. And he lives in Utah and he's in the snow in a beanie all the time. So when he says, yo, the beanies are legit, that's a huge thing. If he says, yo, the beanies need to do this better or that better, we're going to immediately take the feedback and go make it better. And where I feel like a lot of brands create a product because they know it's kind of, what do you call it? Not consumable, disposable.
Yeah.
And it's going to last a little bit and then you'll come buy another one. And we believe in having less things, but having better things.
That's so cool. And I want to touch on that because you can defend a price very easily by the quality of what you're creating. So when you're so hands-on with the customer, which is really cool because a lot of the businesses that we're engaging with, the product that they're selling is coming from a company that is listening more to that business owner and not engaging with the consumer. And so the consumer isn't getting the product necessarily that they want because it's filtered through multiple levels before it ever have a conversation.
Truth. Oh,
so
man, we deal with
how
that.
important and how important is it to be able to get that feedback from a customer? And then how are you guys doing that?
Truthfully, it's a huge challenge. I don't think we do it great at all. In fact, I'd say every other day there's something that gets elevated to me from somebody that didn't have their mind blown by us.
Wait, time out.
Yeah.
Because I bought 2 caps.
Okay.
3 years ago.
Okay.
2 caps. I got a call
from
somebody immediately as to, hey, you've bought a couple caps. What do you like? How'd you find out about us? How we can make the hat better?
Awesome.
So I don't buy that you're not doing a good job.
No, okay.
But then you hit me on Insta, and Corey hits me on Insta. I'm just a dude in Ohio that bought 2 hats.
When you buy a product from us, we of course are thankful and of course want to know what your experience was like. But when you've bought 5, there's like a red flag of something we're doing is speaking to this person. And when we see that person and go look up that person, being you in that case, we like what that person's about. So we connected the dots somehow correctly to reach somebody we cared to reach and we're happy that we reached. So we want to know as much as possible in that scenario. However, since our partnership with the Olakai Group, we became part of a much bigger ship. And the touch points became much more hands off, which we're actually digging our heels in now and going back to the roots of Melin, which included a ton more consumer touch point.
Yeah.
And
that makes sense.
From the gate, we called it Ritz-Carlton customer service. I don't care if the customer asks you to send them 10 hats. You send them the 10 hats because you want them to laugh at how absolutely fucking ridiculous your customer service is and tell their friends, you have no idea how they're going to stay in business if they will send me 10 hats because I'm mad about something about one of my hats. However, you likely will tell 10 friends who will all buy one.
That's right.
And maybe it will actually break even for
Dude,
us.
it's so cool. I mean, I think, social media and has changed the retail game.
Oh man,
like you just
everybody's got to be
explained.
on their A game. You get
It's
called
right.
out.
And you're accessible more now.
true.
That, like, everyone expects a direct response if they're going to hit you on Insta, or they're going to hit Corey, or they're going to
Yeah.
hit JJ. Like, they expect a response. I think what really drew me in was, one, the hat was going to stand out. It is fundamentally different than any other hat on the market. And I was never a hat guy, because as we saw
that
today,
means a lot then.
I wasn't. I was never a hat
Yeah.
guy because I have a weird shaped head. Like, hats never fit great. And
Everybody's got a weird shaped head.
I don't remember how. I think it was one of your influencers posted something on Insta that I follow. I saw it. I go to the website. My wife's like, you know what? I mean, it fits your brand. Everything you do is quality. Like, I'm like, yeah, but a couple $100 on a hat, and I'm not a hat guy. Do it. If you hate it, then we don't buy more.
And we'll take it back.
So I get the first one. I like it. I show my father-in-law across the street, who's at that time like 56.
Okay.
He's like, that is a dope hat. Like, I don't know if I could rock a flat bill, but I'm going to try it. He orders the hat. And then, so we're too deep. And then I order another one because I got a comment on the first one. You hit me on Insta. I get a phone call. I get a 50% off coupon. Like, hey, thanks. We really appreciate you.
Yep.
This new line's coming out. Like,
You're one of our VIPs now.
yeah.
Yep.
It has been an unbelievable, like, you know how many Jordans I bought this year that no one from Jordan is reaching out to me. Like, every time I'm in a Nike draw and get lucky, like,
And they're just barely bigger than us.
it's just barely bigger. But to me, it encompasses what I love about business, about customer service, about entrepreneurship. It's having a dream, and then being able to know that dream is only going to be successful because of the people that buy the product.
That's what everyone needs to be reminded of, bro.
And it doesn't matter what business it is.
That's what everyone needs to be reminded of, is that it doesn't matter how you feel about it, how your friends feel about it, how your employees feel about it. If the customer doesn't walk away just enthralled, you're not winning.
It's crazy.
Like, you're not winning unless you remember that person matters more than anything else.
I love
and
it.
to
So
me,
good.
in starting a brand, I was that person. Volcom made me feel good. Nixon made
Yeah.
me feel good. Like, Vans makes me feel good. And so for me, the objective was always, I want to make people feel how those brands made me feel times 5.
Yeah.
And just randomly, we were born into an era of this new digital interactive society where everything got hyper fast. The touch points got real quick. And the mentality that we started with happened to be a good one, given the nature of how the business world was moving. So
it's you have to be, you're on 100% of the time. There's no chance to be off.
My wife trips on like Black Friday, that's the morning after Thanksgiving, and the family is like all in town, whatever. You got relatives sleeping over, and I'm up at like 3 a.m. looking at analytics, making sure we don't go down, making sure inventory isn't mispromised.
It's a big day.
And it's like, she's like, what's the only cool thing I would say, that not the only, but like one of the coolest things in kind of the calendar year of, whatever, is Christmas time. Fortunately, UPS, like, and FedEx and the logistics companies throw their hands up like 4 days before Christmas. Like, we can't promise you we're going to get these things to your customers by Christmas if you ship. So you almost, as a brand, get to catch your breath with the family 3 days leading up to Christmas, and then kind of through the new year, because like, you've now shipped as much as you can and given as many Christmas presents to people as you possibly can. And you get to take 4 to 6 days with the fam while everyone opens their hats under the trees and hopes that and you hope that everyone's stoked.
And then you can just scroll Insta and see all the happy customers.
That's one of my favorite things to do.
That's so cool. All right, so we could talk shop all day. So let's go a couple more things real quick.
Yep.
You mentioned family. How has having a son influenced you as a business leader?
Oh man, powerful question. I would say my reason for starting the company has definitely evolved based on who I want to be remembered as and what I did. I don't want to be remembered as the dude that created expensive hats. I don't want my son to grow up around.
That's cool.
When someone says, "What does your dad do?" He'll go, "Oh yeah, he made Melin these expensive hats at all." So what I do want him to grow up around when he gets asked that is, "What does your dad do?" He owns Melin, which gives back to these 4 to 6 to 10, depending on how many charities and governmental kind of. We're huge on how can we leave the world better than we found it, and I'm talking in our 4 segments of who we build hats for. Like we talked about earlier offline, but performance, best in the world performance hats in the springtime. And then we're now actively starting to work with and maybe potentially going to start our own give back kind of charities that speak to that world. So to end childhood diabetes, right?
Sure.
Like if we can inspire more people and give kids more tools to get in better shape, eat right, live right, etc., and that plays into, where we're going anyway. I want my kid to get asked, "What does your dad do?" and have him speak on what we've done for people, not what we
nothing about
sell.
hats. That is so cool.
So it totally changed the way I live, think, etc. It also, this is to all you entrepreneurs that don't have kids yet, and if you do, God bless you, because you know how hard it is balancing it. But like, your business is your baby until you have a baby.
That's right.
And then your business becomes this thing you care immensely about, but your actual baby, your actual, kid becomes this major focus and priority of your time and energy. And so I was in this kind of mix up spot for a good 6 months to a year trying to find that balance. And I still don't have it all the way dialed in, but I'd say I listened to the Dad Edge podcast by a dude named Larry Hagner. I highly recommend it. Shout out to Larry. And he talks a lot about the entrepreneurial mind and then being a dad. And it started as the Good Dad Project. Now it's called the Dad Edge podcast. Okay. So I take a lot of lessons from that balance from there, but I'm still trying to learn it. You learn from any entrepreneur you can, but then the ones that are parents, you pay particularly close attention.
And I think from as much as I've tried to balance it and entrepreneurs I follow, I don't think that there is a perfect work-life balance.
I don't either.
I feel like as an entrepreneur, the best you can do is 100% when you're in the office. You're given everything, and then when it comes to family, you're given for that moment.
Straight up,
you've got to be 100% all in. I mean, there's a lot of people that are think they figured out work-life balance, but they may be home on their phone for 4 hours.
No, have them call me. I want the advice, dude.
That's not it.
I've tried I put my phone on the charger in a spot where it's out of sight, out of mind for an hour when I get home, and then there'll be repercussions that evening after I put the little guy down where I missed confirming something for someone because of it. I've tried the take the family on vacation, but I find that no matter where I go in the world, there's a store there that I want to talk to about Melin. And so I'll end up it's just part of it, man.
Yeah.
It's just I'd say there's a beauty to it in that if you can find something you love to do that you can interweave into your passions of, call it outside work passions that you've won. And I think we're very fortunate in that with what we do, we get to involve Melin in nearly all of our passions, if not all of them.
Yeah.
So when Louis Vito and I go snowboard to test our beanies, it's not a bad life.
That's right.
And
that is very cool.
This is something I wanted to bring up to you in that I know you obviously Disrupt is growing and growing, and you started in this, funeral business.
Yeah.
I think, and this is something that I think maybe backing out sometimes is important for business owners. I think that you are just touching the iceberg of a massive media company that spreads far beyond what your current endemic market is. And not to say it's not a great market. It's obviously unique and it's definitely a great business. but I just look at it like funeral. I immediately think sad.
Mm-hmm.
You're the opposite of that. And like, I just see like legs to where this will go. So I think it'll be fun to look back at this podcast when you have this 1,000 employee mega media company and be like, dude, let's go pull that up when I just had the funeral biz pop.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
That means a lot. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
For sure.
All right, I'm going to wrap this up. You and I are both big mindset guys. There's a bookcase in the center part of your team's office.
Yep.
What is the most powerful book that you've read that influenced you?
That's such a hard question, but it's an easy one at the same time. And actually, Ryan Scheckler, one of my partners, recently came in and he's staring at the bookcase. He goes, "Which one should I read, dude?" Because he's big on personal growth as well. And I grabbed him Think and Grow Rich from Napoleon Hill.
Yep.
And it's a book that my boy Dave Ridgway, who is mega sales rep in the industry, has helped build brands like Spy, Stance, Herschel, etc. But Dave handed me Think and Grow Rich when I was really just getting started, and I've referenced it over and over again. It's the epitome of a mindset book,
right?
And I would say if you have not read Think and Grow Rich, you better get after it.
That's cool.
Yep.
All right, Brian, thank you so much,
Bro,
man.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
bro. Thank you for
Appreciate
having
it.
me. Let's get it.